Good afternoon, it's Tony Rulin with Bollmeyer Inc. This is our first time doing a little podcast. We're going to try something a little different here. One of the things I think a lot of producers will be starting to notice, and I'm sure you'll be getting a lot of phone calls, is a lot of this unevenness in the field. You're seeing some of the corn yellow, and there's no one exact reason why this is happening. There's multiple reasons, but just to take a look right here, Alex, if you want to show this, you can see this corn right here. You know, a lot of this corn's at about V5, pretty robust, looks pretty decent yet. You come and you take a look at this corn over here. Okay, all planted with the same planter, same day, everything. One of the things you're going to notice is there's a huge difference between residue out here. Okay, so we're seeing this dirt over here where there's very little residue, okay, versus over here where you're seeing a lot of that residue. So let's take a look at some of these plants here and dig a few of them up. So we're going to grab what I consider a pretty decent looking plant here. We're going to dig this one up. Try to be careful. I mean, obviously I'm breaking a lot of the roots off here, but just trying to give you kind of a snapshot here. Okay, one of the first things I'm looking for is planting depth. All right, right there's the kernel. You'll still be able to find this. You'll be able to find that kernel and tassel here. But if you look at here, that corn, you know, rule of thumb, about to my knuckles, 2 inches deep. This plant was probably planted right at about 2, 1 inch and 3/4 to 2 inches. Good depth. We see real nice radical root here. This is the very first root. The radical root looks healthy. We had some very nice seminal roots coming off here. That's the seminal roots. And we got, this is where we're switching over right now, guys. This is where the plant is basically done living off the seed. It's going to basically be taking all its nutrients up from the ground. And these nodal roots are absolutely crucial. We're getting pretty nice nodal root development here on this plant here. You can tell there's some moisture here, but we're getting really dry. Okay, so let's just take a comparison here to some of these plants over here. Now this is, I will say, this is kind of an extreme case because you can see it just in different soil types, a lot of different factors. But okay, so we got a plant here.
More residue.
A lot more residue. Look at the residue you're dealing with here. I just want to put it in perspective before we even start really. Look at the size of this plant difference here. Okay, both planted, same hybrid, same day, everything. One of the very first things I notice is look at how much residue is here. Right down there where the seed's at. Okay? Couple things that does. One, that can tie up some of our nitrogen, some of our nutrients, because we got so much residue there. It's also insulated the ground, kept this ground cool early on, so this plant emerged at a different time. We didn't build the heat degree units as quickly. The planting depth is very good. You can see that the planting depth is about the same. Okay, we got a nice radical root going there. If I can illustrate it here. So there's the radical root. You can see a little bit of retardation, I would call this, in some of the nodal root systems. This one's got a little bit more robust nodal root system on this bigger plant. So, does it mean that you're out of nitrogen? It's a big question. No, it doesn't mean you're necessarily out of nitrogen. There's a lot of factors that play into this. Residue, soil type, lack of moisture. As these plants start to develop a bigger nodal root system, you're going to see them green up better. This, you probably can't see it real well. This plant's definitely lighter in color. It's going to start to green up, but the biggest factor here is we really need some water. So I don't want to make this too long, but there's other factors as far as sulfur. There's a lot of sulfur deficiencies showing up. Soil amendments, where people limed pH levels and things like that in your soil types. I will tell you, this entire farm though had over 20 units of sulfur, so this is not a sulfur issue. I personally will tell you, if this farm didn't have sulfur, the color would be a lot different. Here again, this is just a lot of environmental things that are going on in the field today. Granted, Mother Nature isn't cooperating. Probably the biggest factor is some water would definitely help here. But you can see again where this ground is pretty clean here. Very little residue. We got these plants off to a good start early on. They're more robust. Their root system is farther along versus this same corn in the same row. Just an environment where that ground temperature just didn't get an opportunity to warm up early on. So we did see uneven emergence. So some of these plants were coming up later. And then when they did get up, they just came slow because we started out with such a cold spring with a lot of variabilities, with ground temperature going from low 40s to 60, back down to 50, back down to 40, back up to 60. Those are, as far as heat degree units and the ground temperature. So these are a lot of factors. We're not out of fertilizer here. But call if you have any questions. Thanks. Wow, that's firm. Get over here and take a look at this though. Okay. So, you look at the soil surface, actually the planting depth wasn't too bad. But, hard to believe that this year we do actually got some sidewall smearing, some sidewall compaction still going on. Now obviously I just picked out a kind of a runt plant that was just random here, but you can see that plant really struggled to get out of the ground. Look at that. Talk about compaction. Okay, when you start getting that layering, where you can break this dirt apart and it just comes up in layers. Look at that. And you look where we're at. We're along the, we're a few rows away from the fence line here. More than likely, there's a grain cart track. I think we had some issues this last year where we didn't have enough moisture coming into this fall that we really didn't get this ground to heave and freeze and thaw to really break up some of this compaction like we normally do. But this is a really good illustration of sidewall smearing. You can see exactly where the roots are. You can see where that plant really struggled to get out of the ground. So just another little tidbit there.
The information contained in the multimedia content posted represents the views and opinions of the original creators of such video content. The video content is made for informational purposes only. Although we believe the information is applicable under certain conditions and we do our best to make sure our content is accurate, Bollmeyer Inc. does not make any representation or warranties with respect to the accuracy, applicability, fitness, or completeness of the video content. The video content is not intended to be a substitute for professional advice or research. Bollmeyer Inc. and the creators of such video hereby disclaims any and all liability to any party for any direct, indirect, implied, punitive, special, incidental, or other consequential damages arising directly or indirectly from any use of the video content, which is provided as is and without warranties.